Proverbs 4:23 says, "Keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flows the springs of life." Good morning. This verse is such a life-giving verse when you just think about what it's saying there. From it flows the springs of life. Guard your heart. So my practical side of my brain immediately goes, well, how do I do that? How do I guard my heart? Well, I think just like almost everything, if not everything in the Old Testament, this verse gives us yet another shadow of what Jesus brought to us in the New Testament. When we became a Christian, which is the door that Jesus opened for us, our old self died with Jesus, died on that cross. I can look at Christ and I can say, I am crucified with Christ. Scripture, right? That's truth. I exchanged places with him. He took my old self, my death, flesh, sin-addicted, dying self, and took it right to that cross, and it bled out and died with him. I am no longer alive, but what? Christ is alive within me. Within me became a new creation. I'm born again, and that new life rises up. So now I look back to the Old Testament when it says, Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for from it flows the springs of life. And I believe this is referring to the battle between the new creation that I am and the old flesh that was tied down and addicted to sin and led by fear and everything else. I mean, when you think of flesh and sin and blah, I mean, you think of all the bad things, but even the things that don't necessarily feel bad, like I'm scared, I'm nervous, I'm apprehensive, I'm self-protecting, like I'm defensive, like all of those things that focus on me, that bring the glory to me, those things are what war against the new self. That's why Jesus told us in Luke, he said, carry your cross daily, right? Put yourself to death daily. Yes, when Jesus died on the cross, I died with him, but I'm still walking around, right? Until I leave this body, this flesh is going to be following me. So daily, I need to look to him to say, this flesh is crucified with you through the eyes of faith. I recognize that I'm no longer alive. This flesh that I'm in, that's all self-focused and defensive and protective, and this is mine, right? I'm in control. It's my world. That's all dead, and now a new life, a life of the Spirit, a life of freedom is alive. So how do I guard my heart? I make sure that my flesh doesn't end up in control. I make sure that my flesh is crucified daily, because Scripture says that wars against me, that wars against the new person that I am and tries to take it down, right? And I'm going to say, no, through faith, all I have to do is recognize that it's not me anymore, right? I'm crucified with Christ. I see him on the cross and I see myself. And I also see him raised again and I see myself. I am raised with Christ. And now from it comes the wellspring of life.